best part of Reacher Season 2 isn't Reacher. It's no longer entirely a man's world in Reacher. Alan Ritchson stars in the Prime Video series as the titular character, a retired military officer who is still very much in the line of fire. Season 1 debuted in 2022 and quickly became a sensation. With its sleek look, shockingly violent but stylized fight scenes, and Ritchson's tender performance as a big man dealing out justice with his fists, it had the perfect formula to become the perfect entertainment for guys' night. Season 2 has only increased in its popularity among fans, and has dominated the streaming numbers game. But Reacher is not just for men anymore, and Reacher himself is not the only best part of the show. Though Reacher takes up the majority of the space on screen, he and the series have made room for women to kick some serious butt too. Reacher could have easily played into misogynist ideals and been a storm of toxic masculinity, but it's rejected the old stereotypes of the action genre, becoming a show for all viewers, and it also happens to feature some of the toughest female characters on television right now. Season 1 introduced Willa Fitzgerald's tough Margrave cop Roscoe Conklin, while Season 2 increased its spotlighting of women in action, putting them at the front of all the fights. Maria Sten was first introduced as former military sergeant Frances Neagley in Season 1, a powerhouse fighter and incredible sharpshooter who served with Reacher in the 110th Special Investigations Unit. Meanwhile, Serinda Swan debuts Carla Dixon in Season 2, a former military officer who also served alongside Reacher and Neagley in the 110th. As both Neagley and Dixon come to Reacher's aid in Season 2 to save members of the 110th, the women take center stage in combat. The long-cemented notion that action flicks are made only for men is finally disintegrating, and Reacher is celebrating that. In Season 2 of Reacher, Neagley and Dixon are an unstoppable duo as Season 2 begins. It has been 2 years since the explosive showdown in the small town of Margrave, Georgia. Now, Reacher is a wandering traveler, never staying in any one town too long. That is, until he finds out members who served under him in the 110th Special Investigations Unit have been murdered, thanks to Frances Neagley. As Neagley draws Reacher out of hiding and brings him to New York to help her solve the murder of their former colleague Calvin Franz, Luke Billick, she kicks the story into high gear, with the two teaming back up again to administer beatdowns of the unsavory criminals involved. Neagley is not the only woman in the room anymore, though, as Dixon also joins the group in hunting down the baddies who are responsible for the deaths of several special investigators. As former 110th member David O'Connell, Sean Sipos provides most of the comic relief with his character's brass knuckles, while leaving more of the cutthroat fighting to Neagley and Dixon. Together, the two women make for the best action duo in Season 2, feeding off each other's energy and getting to take part in some of the series' most memorable showdowns, including the season's best fight scene featuring a very angry biker gang. Reacher Season 2 puts women at the forefront and is better for it. Making space for women and also letting them rule the action is not only a monumental moment for Reacher, but also within the action genre as a whole. It's a miracle anyone can squeeze past Reacher's biceps, but once Neagley and Dixon do, it's game over for the bad guys. Maria Sten is a force to be reckoned with as Neagley. Taking on the role of the ultimate tough guy, she is ruthless with her opponents. Standing at nearly 6'0" tall, Sten's presence alone commands attention, and she has become one of the most formidable action stars on television right now. And it's not just her body that's a weapon. Thanks to Neagley's tech abilities and detective skills, she's able to sniff out any conspiracy and is undoubtedly the brains behind the whole operation in Season 2. Swan's Dixon is a fantastic and crucial addition to the cast, as the series makes room for more than just one main female character at a time and holds her own alongside Neagley as an expert fighter. In the aforementioned fight scene against a nasty motorcycle gang, Dixon has no problem fighting dirty, like using the spike of her high heel as a weapon in addition to her own fists. When Reacher debuted on Amazon Prime in 2022, it quickly became a sensation, drawing praise for its gritty action, tight plotting, and Alan Ritchson's imposing yet nuanced portrayal of Jack Reacher. Fans of Lee Child's novels were particularly thrilled to see the towering, physically dominant version of Reacher they'd imagined, a stark contrast to Tom Cruise's earlier portrayal in the film adaptations. However, as much as the first season rested on Ritchson's broad shoulders, the upcoming second season may surprise viewers in a different way. In fact, the best part of Reacher Season 2 isn't Jack Reacher himself, but rather the ensemble cast, world building, and the exploration of themes outside of Reacher's traditional role as an invincible, one-man wrecking crew. A cast of characters who shine while Jack Reacher is the gravitational center of the show. Season 2 takes a refreshing shift in focus by developing the supporting characters. This move proves essential in expanding the story's emotional depth and complexity, adding layers to the narrative that would otherwise be lost in a purely Reacher-centric plot. For starters, the supporting characters become more than just sidekicks or victims in need of Reacher's brute force protection. Each has a well-defined backstory, and their individual arcs intertwine in meaningful ways with the larger narrative. The writers, aware that Reacher's lone wolf persona can at times be limiting, wisely flesh out characters such as Neagley, portrayed by Maria Sten, who moves from being a peripheral figure to a major player in Season 2. Her relationship with Reacher is one of mutual respect, not dependence, and her own emotional struggles add a human touch to the series, allowing it to transcend the simple formula of bad guy meets Reacher, bad guy gets obliterated. Then there's Officer Roscoe Conklin, whose character evolves in ways that deepen the emotional resonance of the show. Rather than just a potential love interest or token tough woman, Roscoe is a force in her own right, exhibiting agency and moral courage that rival Reacher's. This equal footing is rare in action-driven series where the protagonist usually dominates every scene. Season 2 leans into Roscoe's determination to fight her own battles, whether that's emotionally, physically, or morally. The show, through Roscoe and others, acknowledges that heroism comes in many forms, not just the brute force Reacher wields so effortlessly. Even the villains, a critical aspect of any good thriller, get more screen time and nuance. Instead of generic, one-dimensional evildoers, the antagonists are layered, with motivations that occasionally blur the lines between good and evil. It's this moral ambiguity that makes Season 2 so compelling. Many of the conflicts are psychological as much as they are physical, forcing viewers to consider the gray areas of justice and vengeance. Expanding the world beyond Reacher, another standout element of Season 2 is the expansion of the show's universe. The series shifts focus from Jack Reacher's relentless pursuit of violent criminals and explores more nuanced storylines about corruption, loyalty, and the consequences of violence. While Season 1 was largely a self-contained story set in a small town, Season 2 embraces a broader geographical and thematic scope. Reacher's adventures take him through various cities, each with its own ecosystem of crime, law enforcement, and moral complexities. This new scope allows the show to lean more into the procedural aspect of crime solving, which is often one of the most engaging parts of any thriller. While Reacher is still the blunt instrument, the ensemble cast works like a well-oiled machine, piecing together clues, investigating motives, and working within and occasionally against the confines of law enforcement. This expansion also allows for richer, more diverse storytelling, introducing new characters who bring different perspectives on justice, revenge, and morality. The broadened world building isn't just about bigger cities and more complex plots, it's about raising the stakes for everyone involved. Reacher's presence in any given situation might guarantee a certain level of physical safety.